overview. Okay. To present you our project overview, conceptual design options, key project questions we are going to study, project schedule, and next steps. Here is a little bit project background. The northbound I-280 originates from the freeway corridor management study for US 101 I-280 that TA has completed in 2018. This is a managed lane study, and the managed lane is the traffic lane with restrictions that only open for high occupancy vehicles, HOV, transits, or single occupancy vehicle users who are willing to pay at a certain time period. This study explored the use of managed lanes to tackle congestions and enhance travel efficiency, choice, and community well-being, while also reduce emissions. The study aligns with a broader regional network as shown on the map on the right. There are already managed lanes are currently in operation from south of San Francisco County all the way to San Mateo counties. So the TA has further developed the study into 2 projects per direction as shown on the map on the right. This public outreach is only for northbound I-280 project, which is under environmental review. This project would mark San Francisco's first freeway HOV initiative for carpool and transit users. It aims to refine previous studies design and formulate a viable construction plan during this environmental phase. The southbound US 101 I-280 remains in planning, and we will provide our board with further updates on its status and scope later. So the purpose of this northbound I-280 project is to provide an option for carpooling and transit users to bypass the congestion at the northbound I-280 terminus. The project aims to increase the number of persons traveling, encourage carpooling and transit use on the HOV lane without any tolls, improve travel time and reliability, meanwhile limit the impact on the general purpose lanes. Just general purpose lane are the lanes available for use for the general public without any restrictions or tolls. And this project also aims to minimize the traffic diversions to our local streets. This map here show the existing congestion conditions during peak hours, and you can see that the traffic congestion starts from the 4th Street intersection and all the way to the Mariposa Street on I-280. As you can see, the morning and evening queue lengths are similar. So the project will introduce an HOV lane along northbound I-280 corridor from the 18th Street overcrossing to 5th Street, possibly extending to 3rd Street along King Street. It involves just restriping only for up to 1.3 miles without any right-of-way acquisition. Additionally, we will assess the HOV endpoint here to understand the transit link between King Street here to the transit only lane on 3rd Street. Two options proposed for the freeway HOV. One is converting the leftmost general purpose lane or add a lane by converting the left shoulder for carpools and transit. It is anticipated that this converting the general purpose lane option may be dismissed during this phase, given this worsening traffic congestion concerns. And this slide presents the proposed lane striping design before 6th Street off-ramp. This slide displays the lane striping design for freeway terminus and also King Street. The freeway design options are shown on the left as the same as the previous slide. And the proposed King Street striping plan is shown on the right. As you can see, we plan to turn the leftmost general purpose lane into an HOV lane from 5th to 3rd. And this is our just proposal design, and we will further assess the HOV endpoint to ensure a seamless transition for user to our local streets. The project will explore potential transit services and routes for the corridor. In coordination with MTA and Samtrans, we will identify the suitable transit services. And also a comprehensive analysis will be done to assess benefits or impacts on the number of people traveling, transit and auto travel time, congestion, and traffic study. Also based on the analysis results, we will finalize the roadway striping plan and also evaluate environmental impacts, proposing mitigation for any negative effects. As I initially mentioned, the project is currently in the planning and environmental clearance phase, pending approval and funding. We aim to begin civil engineering design in early 2025 and start construction in early 2026. Our next steps involve refining the design concept and completing a technical analysis in collaboration with the technical advisory group, which are our city partners. And we aim to present the technical findings and an updated design in spring 2024 for your feedback. So that's all for the presentation, and we are happy to answer any questions. So I think we are open for questions. If you have any questions, please either leave in the chat. Yes.
I just wanted to highlight that there was a question in the chat from Wendy, which is, where is the connectivity on Highway 280 to an existing HOV lane? And why does this project start at 18th?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Wendy. So this is also based on our previous study. If you recall, HOV lane, most of the time the HOV lane should be on the left side, and given the physical constraint from 101, the county line from 101 to I-280, it's hard for us to put a HOV lane on the right, especially when driver from 101 go to I-280. That is kind of the waving section is really hard to implement a HOV lane. And also there are some, this is an elevated structure on I-280. It's hard for us to really widen the road to compensate HOV lane. So based on our study, we see the opportunity here if you look at this Q lens here. So we see the opportunity for a vehicle to encourage carpooling and also transit bypass this congestion area. Since our product will go beyond the limit of the lane, the limit of the queue, so they will bypass this queue length to give them an opportunity to increase their travel time and encourage transit use.
Joshua had a question. And then
Thank you.
Tina next.
Yeah, just curious what how effective are HOV lanes, I guess, and how well are they used on city streets in particular? Knowing that we have one on Bryant Street, is that part of the scope of this study? You know, to what extent does that actually encourage high occupancy vehicle use, or, you know, how frequently are those violated and or clear of congestion, I guess would be the question.
This is a really good question. This is exactly what we are going to study for during our technical analysis. This phase, we are going to understand more about how efficiency to have this HOV lane on our local street, and like you mentioned, even this enforcement. What enforcement we need to implement to make sure there's no violation for the user during the enforcement hours for the like single occupancy vehicle to use that lane. So yeah, that's what definitely we are going to study during this phase as well. But yeah, I may give you an answer a few months later after we finish our traffic study analysis. Any other questions?
Bettina, it looked like you were raising your hand earlier, or yes?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Let's see. Okay, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Unmute. Okay.
Okay.
Sometimes it takes a while to figure out where the unmute thing is.
No worries.
Okay, so essentially, I wanted to say thank you, Jalen and Danelia. I'm sorry. Thank you for replying to my emails ahead of the town hall. I wanted to be sure you got my suggestion, my idea for this project in regard to meeting the community safety and equity goal, particularly regarding Berry Street. And that would be about signage to the effect of local traffic only at the foot of the off-ramp that let's try to deter freeway drivers onto Berry. So is it possible to put up a lot of signage there? I don't even want to ask how the city would enforce a local traffic only advisory, but at least some kind of signage to deter freeway drivers from turning onto Fifth Street and overwhelming Berry. You guys, I guess, got my notes.
Email. Yeah.
How busy Berry is with just the local traffic for thousands of residents who live here. So I also have those 3 questions. So I want to hear your feedback on that. But I also have those 3 questions regarding, is the project being coordinated with the Mission Bay School Access Plan that's going to be starting later this month? How does this project work with putting Caltrain underground, and what are your general plans for getting more commuters to choose regional transit instead of a car? And is SFCTA working with planning on Amazon's last mile logistics plans for 900 7th Street? Because all those things are going to affect this, so.
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Bettina. Yeah, for you generally you have 1 comment for 3 questions. Yes, even like 4 questions. For the Berry Street, like detour, your concern, this is, if you look at our project, one of our project goals, we do want to limit impact the traffic diversion to our local streets. So like, as I mentioned, your concern is well received. We will make sure to study the impact on Berry Street to make sure our HOV lane implementation won't really actually detour a lot of traffic to Berry Street. Andy, I don't know if you want to add something to this concern.
Well, I mean, I do have to cross through the Fifth Street, that little, intersection there. It's a T-bone. It's a T-bone over there. And, we have the geographic and, with the creek running parallel to Berry Street for this long stretch, the 2-way part of Berry. So having to negotiate there as a pedestrian and all, it can be dicey even now. It comes and goes, and there can be intermittent moments where it's really like a lot of freeway traffic flowing through there, streaming through there, and really not giving, pedestrians much of a break. So that could, I mean, my thinking is, how will I rate the success of this project is that if we see the a reduction of that kind of freeway, traffic onto our local street, that's a roaring success. But if we see instead such bad jam ups that me and the people down at Crescent Cove can't get across the Fifth Street, that one crossing because cars are jammed up in the crosswalk and such on, so on, then then you've completely failed to meet the project goal of community safety and equity. So that's how I will rate the project.
Okay, yeah, definitely. This is one of our also measures of effectiveness for this project. And we will study this impact on Berry Street, and we can, like I mentioned, we haven't really complete our traffic analysis yet. So we'll get back to you when we have the findings for this issue, and also we will also develop a mitigation plan for that if there is any negative impact on Berry Street.
Okay, great. And what is going on in terms of coordinating with other either city agencies or regional agencies, all that stuff? And in particular, what's being done to encourage people to actually use regional transit, like, instead of driving in a car to get here?
Yeah, this is a really, really good question. Do you want us to answer this first? Or I know you also have a question about this mission-based school access plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe let's talk about this regional coordination for transit use. We are closely coordinating with SFMTA for potential transit routes to use this corridor in the future. And also we are coordinating with Semtrans for any future potential bus routes coming to the city. I don't know, Rachel and Andy, if you want to add anything, if I miss anything for this coordination.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add, I do want to recognize that this is immediately adjacent to Caltrain's current end of the line station. And in the future, there is the plans to extend Caltrain into the Salesforce Transit Center further at First and Mission. That's on a little bit of a longer timeline that we're looking at for this project. And so in the meantime, as we think about who's able to use transit today versus who can't use transit but might be able to take a couple cars off the road by getting together and carpooling, and would be more willing to do that if their trip was made faster and more reliable. I think it's important to recognize that this 1.5 mile piece we're talking about today, while it's not physically connected to what's going on the rest of the 280 and 101 corridor, San Mateo County, Santa Clara County all also now have HOV lanes, or express lanes actually, that are free to HOV vehicles with 3+ travelers that we talked about. Yes, that Jillian mentioned in the beginning. So what this project is seeking to do is not create as big of a project of that San Mateo County and Santa Clara County did when they constructed these lanes, but to utilize, the pavement we have now to move more people more efficiently and fewer vehicles. So hopefully reducing the total number of vehicles while also making it easier for more people to get to and from where they're going more reliably. So of course, the ideal, and I hear the comment and we agree with it, is that the more people that are on the train or in a bus is better, but we recognize that that doesn't work for everyone.
Okay. Yeah. Then I'm sure there are other people who would have concerns about what this is going to do as well to King Street. And in fact, it's my concern that King Street getting backed up because there's a lane dedicated now to HOV. The other two lanes will be even more backed up, and that's where we'll see the overflow onto Berry. And it's a street that already at times does get overwhelmed. But yeah, if anybody wants to talk a little bit about, is any of this being put into the mix for this mission-based school access plan?
Yeah, I can just give you a quick answer. I know you have this question, if the project being coordinated with the mission-based school access plan. And yes, the mission-based school access plan is just starting. And there are no strict changes are proposed yet. Any concepts developed as part of the school access plan will consider traffic travel forecasts that includes in the managed lane project.
Okay, and so what about that idea that I had proposed about the signage trying to at least give those freeway drivers a sense that this is local, local traffic here?
We will take your suggestion as our signage design. I know I mentioned this project is mainly restriping, but for safety measure or treatment, will also have some signage put install along the project limits. Yeah, we will consider that into our signage design as well.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I know you also have the question about, like, are we working with planning on Amazon's last mile? Do you still want to ask?
Yeah. Let's not forget about that, because that is a thing that I just wonder how well different city agencies coordinate with one another, and that there's going to be interstate truck traffic. There's going to be local delivery vans over there. There's going to be all kinds of employee cars to 907th Street once that thing gets built. And how's that all going to work?
Right. Wait, this is like you mentioned, this is a citywide planning work. So all the traffic forecasts and an analysis for the carpool transit lane project include in the SF planning department's planned growth in the area. So not just this Amazon project. But all the planned, growth in housing and jobs. So it's we work together in the city. Yeah.
Okay, good to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bettina, for all your questions. Wendy, you had your hand up next. Go ahead.
She didn't really answer my question. What I'm asking really is, where are the gaps? So I'm in a carpool and I'm coming up 101 and I'm in a carpool lane. Where does that lane end, and how long is it before I get to where this one would begin? So what is that gap?
Okay, thank you for clarifying your question. If you look at this map on the right here, this is the county line, and there is a carpool lane on 101. This project the sponsor is San Mateo County Transportation Authority, so it's not part of within our project limits. So the gap is basically from the county line along 101 and to this 101 I-280 interchange all the way to 18th Street.
So it's a couple miles that.
It's a couple miles, correct? Yes.
So is there any planning that would connect those? Because it seems like if you have unconnected carpool lanes, they are a lot less efficient and they're a lot less marketable, because somebody's gonna save a lot of time and then traffic's gonna just bottleneck. You're just moving the bottleneck, basically.
Yes. I think this is for currently we just based on our previous study. As I mentioned, there are a lot of challenges to have a HOV lane on northbound from 101 to I-280 because of the geometric design constraints. That's why we we cannot say we're not going to do it in the future, but currently we see a quick opportunity to encourage carpooling and transit on this portion to bypass the congestion.
I guess my point is that when you have a significant gap like that, where traffic coming not only from 101, but 280 also, and then it's just gonna bottleneck there. So why would somebody be motivated to use it? They're gonna, be using it, and then they're gonna be stuck with everybody else, and then a very, very short
yeah, we correct. Yes,
they may be able to, but King Street is already, no matter what they do, it's not going to compensate for losing that couple miles.
yeah. So correct me, Andy and Rachel, if you want to add it. I just want to say we did analysis the potential of building a flyover connect ramp to solve this, from 101 to I-280, that issue, merging issue, or waiving issue. But this option is really cost prohibitive at this stage. We do want to explore that option in the future, but for currently, this is the best opportunity we see. We can first have this HOV lane projects at this project limits. But Andy, please correct me if.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add that what's out there today is no advantage for carpoolers whatsoever, and so I think the gap exists both, for a couple of reasons, and I don't think that we should think of it as a bottleneck. The lane, Caltrans geometric policy, Caltrans design policy means that it wouldn't be that the carpool lane ends and has to merge back into the other lanes. And as you come across the county line northbound today, the road actually begins to widen right at that point, because 2 lanes to the right exit to 280 and 3 to the left continue up 101. So it's actually a fairly elegant place to, the lane itself does not physically end in this proposal, but the lane being designated as a carpool lane does end there. And that gives people the option to continue up 101, continue 280 northbound, or continue on 280 back towards Daly City, or to the west if that's where they're going. And so, as Julian was saying, the purpose of this project and the feasibility is not to make big investments and spend a lot of money building new freeways in San Francisco. We're trying to make better, more efficient use of the pavement and capacity that we have today. So giving people that travel time savings where we do see congestion, as Julian showed earlier in the presentation, and giving folks the opportunity to bypass that where possible is really what we're trying to do here with this initial effort. I think, hopefully people will see the advantage of being able to bypass places where it is congested and, make choices otherwise about where not. But for someone coming from, for example, Millbrae into San Francisco, most of the trip will have the carpool lane available. And, the further south you go down the corridor, that becomes even more and more of the case. So want to recognize that, understand from, if we were designing this from scratch, might not be ideal setup, and something more continuous would be better, but working with what we have and wanting to do things as least cost, high efficiency as possible, that's where we landed on this design.
What are the chances that it could connect to where the other one ends in the future?
I think, as Julian would mention, fairly low. It's a
will open up. So, if you took one lane and made it HOV, that would really incentivize people coming into San Francisco to do that.
I think that it's because the exit to 280 is on the right-hand side, it's fairly unlikely that there will be a direct connection between the 101 segment and the 280 segment. It would require reconstruction of the entire 101 280 interchange essentially to be able to deliver that. And by then, I think, the discussion might be, there's more traffic congestion northbound on 101 from that interchange than there is on 280 northbound from that interchange. So should we be thinking about continuous priority to the Bay Bridge or something like that instead?
Well, that is certainly a valid question to be asking it now as well, because why build something if the money would be better spent, you know, in the other direction?
Yeah, and I think that's where I would point out again, the orders of magnitude are in the hundreds. So reconstructing the interchange is hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more. Creating a 1.5 miles with existing pavement through striping and signage is significantly less expensive to be able to deliver.
Yeah, but isn't the end, at the end of the day, isn't the goal to really make it work a lot better? So would it be worth it to do it right and do the big project? This seems like patching a hole.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't
Yes.
want to. I don't want to dismiss the idea. And again, I think
Yes.
in a perfect world with unlimited resources, that might be something we'd be interested in doing. But I do want to, you know, restate that money does not exist to be able to do the big project.
Like,
It's simply not available.
yeah,
Okay, thanks.
that's a really good question. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy and Bettina, both. Those are really just great questions for a good discussion.
Mhm.
Adelaide, I'm going to, where's Adelaide?
Well, it's
Oh.
Greg, actually,
Oh, okay.
and our video's messed up. We got too much stuff going on. I apologize.
Okay, all right, Craig.
My concern on this is similar to Wendy's and others, but the biggest backup is for people that are taking 6th Street. And then you have 2 lanes going to King Street. And if you made one of those lanes an HOV lane, you have all the people who are trying to cut in late into 6th Street already causing a backup. And it'll just make the King Street worse, I think, instead of better. And it's going to just make it double the backup on the King Street because of that. The 6th Street is the issue that's way worse than King Street. And I take King Street, and I live off Berry and have the same concerns about Berry Street that Bettina talked about, but you have to get all the way over to the left lane to even continue on to King Street, because all the people trying to sneak in late to the 2 lanes that are already blocked on 6th Street. So it's going to cause a lot of issues. If you drive it regularly, you'll notice that. So make sure you take that into consideration.
Yes, we do. So for this project at this stage, we just collect all the existing traffic data. We want to understand, like, if there is you are concerned the backup from 6th Street may causing a worse situation. We need to study that. I cannot give you an answer now, but we are going to study
but make sure you take that into consideration, because
yes,
I personally don't see this HOV lane adding a lot of value, and think this money could be used a lot of other better ways to improve freeways and roads and all this. And this small section of HOV lane will not be an overall boon versus a lot of other things people could have used it on. So just wanted to add that.
right. As I mentioned, this is not this HOV lane. I know currently we also want to encourage transit
Yeah,
use,
encourage.
but that's allowed to come, right? Like, we still need to coordinate with SF, MTA, and Samtrans for their future plan to use this corridor. So we want to prepare for this to like you mentioned, incentive transit use as well. Yes, but as you mentioned, your concern is also part of our analysis scope.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions or comments? Oh, Bettina, okay.
Oh, it's okay. I only want to say I appreciate that someone's taking a look at this, and I think that the couple of the project goals in terms of reducing freeway congestion, and particularly if it results in fewer cars on local streets, city streets, I think that's a great goal, and reducing emissions, that's a great goal. It really just comes down to doing it in a way that is, going to keep our local streets safe for all.
Yes, thank you for your comment.
Yes,
Mhm.
You're welcome.
Yeah, this is, as I mentioned, this is the first round of public outreach. We are developing, as I mentioned, we are developing our measure of effectiveness for this project, and we are doing traffic study. We will get back to you all with all the findings and to see the benefits of this project, and also the impact, and we will also provide our mitigation plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it seems like there are no more questions, but I wanted to thank, this is a small group, but it's a mighty group, and that the questions were really insightful and thoughtful, and I thought this was a good discussion. And Alice Rogers has, okay, Alice.
I'm sorry to pop in late.
No problem.
My mind is having a hard time wrapping around this project, but I'm hoping that in your outreach planning that there will be a couple of steps where you're checking in with the neighborhood, especially the Mission Bay CAC, and maybe our neighborhood association, and maybe the Mission Bay Neighborhood Association if it's extant then. After you've collected data, because I think several very key elements have been brought up here, and your data is gonna either support those or not. So we're gonna want to see what you're seeing before you get heavily into the next phase of recommending whichever solution that you think. So hopefully our next meetings with you won't be all the way into a fully thought out design recommendation.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good comment. Sounds like you may want to have another outreach or meeting together to maybe discuss the existing conditions. Is that what do you, maybe before we do forecasting, or you want to maybe understand more about the existing conditions in the project limits?
Well, I just think that it would help us if we had the same data that you're going to be looking at, that's going to be guiding your decisions. We are in a position of having anecdotal evidence and lived experience, all of which is very valuable. But it is also helpful to have the data.
Okay. Yeah. We will discuss, our team will discuss together, maybe for the next, between even we share with any findings and our proposed design, in between, like from now and between that one, we may have another meeting with you to just discuss the data. With the, I saw the neighborhood, Mission Bay CAC and Neighborhood Association.
Yeah, either or. Probably the Mission Bay CAC is the most important.
Okay.
Because I'm not any traffic expert, but it does seem that if things get congested as traffic comes down onto King Street, there's not only the issue around Fifth Street, but there's the issue of slow traffic taking earlier off ramps and getting into and around Mission Bay from earlier streets. And Wendy and Bettina and Adele's person would know this much more than me. I don't live in Mission Bay.
Okay, yeah, I got it. We will, yeah, that's a really good point, and we will also, our team internally will discuss maybe to further check our outreach schedule, and maybe we'll get back to you even earlier when we have some data ready.
Thanks so much.
There was also a question regarding the PowerPoint being available on our website, and yes, it will be available on our project page that you all have received. I'm going to drop it here in the chat also, but we're going to put that up within the next few days, and it will be on our public engagement tab. I'm going to just drop that in here so you have it here.
Yes, thank you, Bettina. You mentioned the Mariposa gem. Also, that's the Amazon project is going to be involved, right? Okay, yeah, thank you for letting us know.
Yeah, I do think that that's a very good point, that how Alice phrased it. I think that's where I was kind of going as far as the whole thing regarding Amazon, is I think that they are, with all the interstate truck traffic, they may be using that exit to get to 907th Street. So to keep that in mind, and I definitely agree with Alice that I think more community outreach and should be done, and more input should be sought, and that we should have some of this data in ahead of, before the final plan being presented to us. I do think the neighborhood association would be a good place to bring this in. The CAC, I'm not really sure what whether or not that'll do much good, but yeah, more like the neighborhood association probably. And definitely, yeah, I mean, it'd be so useful to know how many cars are coming in at different times of day on that 280 onto King Street, and for events or for whatever, but just to have some kind of handle on that. Otherwise, how are we ever going to be able to measure whether this thing is working in the future?
Yes, I think that's definitely our scope for the next round of public outreach. Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns? Okay, I'm going to I wanted to thank you all for coming and taking your time. But I'm going to hand it over to Jaylyn to give a final wrap up.
No, I just really I'm honored, like I mentioned, to present this project to you all, and I really appreciate you. I feel you want to make this project to be a efficient project and benefit our neighborhood, and yeah, and the people in San Francisco. And thank you so much for being here tonight, and work with us together. We will get back to you. We will also collect all your responses, and we'll make our next steps to refine our technical study scopes, and also we'll get back to you in the next round to share the data and our measure of effectiveness for this project. Thank you all so much.